Welcome to the Songwriter Connection podcast, where we look at the craft of songwriting through the eyes of the songwriter. Each week, we make a connection with a music maker, listen to their songs, and hear their stories. From Nashville, Tennessee, here's your host, Dave Lenihan.
We appreciate you listening to the pod and spreading the news about us. You know, we're also on YouTube, and I wanted to mention that if you are listening on the YouTube app, please like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And we stream everywhere, and I know it's not a video podcast yet. Maybe in the future, we'll see. I'm a radio guy, you know. I do put it on YouTube because you may or may not know this. YouTube is the second largest search engine on the internet these days. So I think it's important to be there. And we usually put it up Thursday or Friday at the latest. But on all the other streaming platforms, we release every Wednesday morning, very early in the morning, so that when you wake up on a Wednesday morning, you can have a cup of coffee and make a new connection, like we are going to do today. You know, just a couple weeks ago, we talked to Cherie Spoltori, who's one of my favorite people in the whole world. She runs this organization called Global Songwriter Connection. And if you missed that, go back and listen, because she's got so many great things going on and great tips for aspiring songwriters and artists alike. And part of that show, we talked about some of the people that she's mentored over the years and played a little bit of their music. And one of those folks is our guest today. We're on the phone to New York City with Alexa Valentino. Hi, Alexa. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Nice to have you. It really is. I'm a fan of what you do, and I want to tell the listeners a little bit about you, if that's okay. Can we brag on you a little bit?
Of course, yes.
Okay. She started in showbiz, folks, like age 4 or 5, around there. Am I right?
Yeah, like 4.
On stage. She's a pop artist and singer-songwriter, a dancer, an actress of stage, TV, and movies. In fact, how many 18-year-olds do you know have their own IMDb page? She does. You can check it out. And I'll tell you what, she's also a very accomplished piano player, kind of a prodigy in that respect. She even has her own school where she teaches piano and voice. Is that right? You still doing that?
Yeah, I literally just came from there.
We're going to talk about that. That's incredible. And also, she's an influencer. Her TikTok page is well over 250,000 subscribers at this point. That's amazing. And I'm sure it's a lot more than that by now, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing all the things that you do. I can't imagine how you even found time to be with us, but I thank you for that.
Oh, I thank you. It's really an honor to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, let's play a little bit of this. We played a little bit of this song, and I really love it when Cherie was on the show. But I'd like to play the whole thing to start it off, okay? And it is called "See You in Hell," and it's one of your recent releases, right?
Yeah.
It
came out over the summer.
Okay, we'll talk about it on the other side. Alexa Valentino.
Lost your mind, now I'm losing time. I was on the phone, better off alone, and you're never nice. Love to pick a fight, think I'm always wrong, and you hate my songs. It's not worth it, don't deserve this. Keep your hurting to
Oh, yeah. Alexa Valentino is our guest on the Songwriter Connection podcast. That's your song, See You in Hell. That was out this summer, did you say?
Yeah, that came out in July.
In July. Okay. How often do you release singles?
It depends. I've been releasing every couple of months, but it all kind of bases around whenever I'm releasing a project. I released my EP around this time last year, so I didn't release anything from then till this song. But now that I have this in-between period between projects, I'm putting singles out a little bit more frequently. So instead of 7-8 months, maybe 2 or 3.
I ask you that question because for aspiring singer-songwriters there are a lot of do-it-yourself artists that are putting songs up on the internet and on Spotify and things like that. And the question is always, do you do singles or do you release the whole project at once? And how do you feel about that?
I don't think that there's necessarily a right or wrong way to do it because if there's one method that was so much better than the others, everyone would be doing that.
I see.
I think that it depends on the person, it depends on the style, it depends on the audience, and it doesn't hurt to just try a little bit of everything and see what gets the best response.
Absolutely. Let's talk about songwriting. The songwriting of that song, "See You in Hell." Did you have a co-writer, or did you write that by yourself?
No, so I had 2 songwriters on that.
Yeah.
I was in Nashville and set up a session with a producer that Cherie actually connected me with.
Oh, wow.
His name is Kyle Jefferson.
Okay.
And we've written a few times since this one. He's a really great guy. And I just went into his studio in Nashville. And when I got there, he was like, "Hey, my friend Austin's here. Can you write with us?" And I was like, "Sure." So
why not?
it was the first time that I'd actually really met the two of them. But we basically just sat around in the studio for a few hours, eating lime chips and just kind of talking about all the situations in our life at the moment and all the people that were pissing us off and kind of took a bunch of these stories and started to, get the lyrics down. And, I was recording the vocals as we were going and just...
Were you really? Wow. Oh, wow.
Played around and this is what we came up with. So yeah, it was a really fun experience.
Do you work on the tracks too, Alexa, or do you when you're writing, do you hear it in your head, or do you write to a track? What do you prefer? How do you do it?
It really depends. It depends on how I'm working. If I'm home and I'm just working with one of the writers that I work with, very frequently on FaceTime or Zoom, and I'm just in my room writing with them, I'm going to sit at the keyboard or the piano, or they're going to play the guitar, and we will write it that way and then bring it to life into the studio. But if I'm working with someone who is a producer, sometimes we'll just start with the track because that's their, comfort zone. So it really depends on who I'm working with. But I'm honestly open.
Yeah. Well, we kind of call it top-down writing when the tracks exist and you're writing the lyrics to it and singing along. So long as you said home. Now, home is New York City, right?
Long Island, but I'm in the city. I'm in the city quite frequently. So honestly, both.
Yeah, because you act and do things like that, and we're taping this episode, recording it in December, and it's the holiday season, and that's my favorite time to visit New York. My nephew Dave, who is an actor as well, lived in New York City, and we went to visit him a couple years ago, Alexa, and we just strolled through New York and took in all the sights and sounds, the store windows, the Rockefeller Plaza, and the big Christmas tree. It's just a great time to visit your city, isn't it not?
It's a beautiful place, and it's a very magical time. And I would agree, it's probably my favorite as well. So if you can stand the cold, then come on down.
That's the thing. Yeah. And it was cold that day. We walked all over New York City to keep warm, and we had a good time. We really did.
I'm glad.
Yeah, but you make it to Nashville a lot, huh?
I do. It's been a few months since I've been, but I'm hoping to come back in the winter. And I truly love Nashville. I truly love it.
Well, I certainly hope to run into you and meet you. Maybe you can, play a little round for us. I run a writer's round at a little place down the road here in Hermitage called the 12 Keys. So if you'd like to perform, I'm throwing out that invitation right now. Okay.
I'm there.
Let me know when you are coming, okay? You have a standing invitation, if that's okay with you.
perfect. I will be there 100%.
Awesome. That is awesome. Let me ask you about TikTok. You just recently started your page, right? Was it the past
Yeah,
summer?
I mean, it's all kind of started last summer. I was talking about this earlier when I was live, but I mean, 2021, I remember very distinctly the first half of the year, I would go into the studio every single week with my producer here in New York. And I'd give him the update on how many followers I gained in that week.
Wow.
And if I went up like 50 followers in that week, I was thrilled. Like, I was over the moon. And we would set monthly goals. And my end of the year goal for 2021 was to hit 3,000 to 5,000 followers. That was what I wanted to accomplish by the end of 2021.
That's pretty nice following.
And
Yeah.
that was when I was probably, I would say beginning of June, I was probably around 1,000 followers.
Wow.
So right around when school was ending, by the time school was starting again, I was hitting 100,000.
Wow.
And it just skyrocketed faster than I can control.
Well, how did you do it? Just snippets of your songs or what?
You know, a lot of different things. There's a lot of different things that make up who I am. And there's a lot of different,
I'll say,
you know, components to what I talk about. I do talk about my music. I talk a lot about the show Criminal Minds because I'm like obsessed with that show.
Oh, are you really?
And it's given me so many opportunities to, you know, talk with the cast members. CBS sent me merchandise from the show in honor of the new reboot season, which was so nice of them. And, you know, there's other things I talk about. I talk about something called reality shifting, which is a spiritual practice that honestly has brought me a lot of my following and has been super fun. And
wait, I've got to know more about reality shifting. Tell me about that. Tell me what that's all about.
Well, that's a long conversation, but you know, it's something
we need
that
another whole podcast, right, for that?
That is another whole podcast. I've been on shifting podcasts specifically.
Yeah.
But it's something that has been around for thousands of years, but really took the public eye around when the pandemic started. And I think that's just because when COVID started, everyone was looking for an escape. Like, everyone needed something to do with themselves.
That's true.
And that's why there's a very common misconception that it's something that was necessarily created on TikTok, but that's honestly not the case.
No.
Basically what shifting is it is the separation of your consciousness and your like awareness and your subconscious awareness and shifting your subconscious awareness to other realities. So it basically follows along the multiverse theory. So, believing in the multiverse theory, and then shifting, which is the proper term. My best friend introduced me to it, and when I started making videos about it in 2021, that was really what started growing my following. So then I, continued to post and talk about that, which I really love doing, and a lot of my music even has connections to it, and it's all just worked so nicely hand in hand, and it's given me something I also feel like separates me from every other 18-year-old girl who sounds exactly like I do and is doing what I'm doing. Because it's very hard to pick yourself apart from all the other people that are competing with you, essentially. So it's been a blessing, and I'm so grateful for the entire community for being so supportive. And
it sounds like it is. And we're going to research that. I want to read about that. And we can go through
my TikTok.
Yes.
Go through my TikTok.
How do we find you on TikTok?
So my TikTok account is Alexa Prentice. So it's my first name, and then Prentice is PRENTISS. And I actually did a interview with Mashable, which is the tech journal that I think has like 12 million reads or views or whatever the proper term is. So that's out there, and but I will text you so much stuff.
Please do.
That can of worms, once I open it, I pour it all out. So
it sounds interesting and very fascinating. Well, you were talking about school. Are you still in school, or did you graduate high school?
I graduated high school.
Okay. So last year. Okay. Wow. You've done so much in that short amount of time. Incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, what did your friends think? I mean, here you are doing all the things that you do. You must have been the envy of all your friends.
I hope not. I mean, I don't want them to envy anything. If anything, I mean, I'm just going to use her as an example, but my best friend in the whole world is the one that really got me into, like I said, a lot of the things that helped me grow a platform. And it's like, if anything, I'm just so grateful to her because I couldn't have done it without her.
Awesome.
I think that growing up, it was a bit harder for me because I grew up in a very big sports town on Long Island where everyone played soccer, everyone played lacrosse. Yeah. And here I was leaving early every day to go to Manhattan and rehearse for 3 off-Broadway shows at a time. So I definitely felt very isolated as I was a child, but as I grew up, I became more confident in something that set me apart. And I think that as kids mature as well, they start to appreciate more things that they're not familiar with. So I think it all aged nicely. But that would be probably the best way to describe it.
It's just so interesting. And you know, the other thing you did and you were younger then, but you started an anti-bullying campaign, didn't you? Did you not?
When I was 11.
11 years old. Wow. Tell me about that, because that's amazing.
I did several off-Broadway shows in a very, very short period of time. Yeah. And one of the last ones that I did, actually, no, I'm too far ahead of myself. I'm forgetting my own life story. The first one that I did was very interesting because I was in 5th grade. Yeah. And at that point, I had only done regional theater on Long Island, some bigger productions, but still nothing on Broadway stages with Broadway actors and directors. Wow. And I remember 4th grade, we read the book, Number the Stars. And it's a book about World War II and the Holocaust and a few young girls in that time. And we really, deep dived into the book and, we spoke a lot about, the characters and what it was about and, the message of the book. And in 5th grade, there was someone that my mom knew that said I should go audition for the off-Broadway, actually the U.S. premiere of Number the Stars as a play. Wow. And I was able to get an audition. It was, it wasn't open to anyone. I was able to get an audition. And I went through the first round. And I did this, this skit, monologue, whatever. And they said, okay, everybody go to the Starbucks across the street. Come back in an hour. We'll come back in an hour and let you know who got a call back. Okay. So I go to the Starbucks across the street with all the other kids that are all pretending to like each other, but secretly want each other's parts. And, all the moms that are, doing the same thing. And it's a very tense environment and everyone's, nervous. And I kept thinking to myself, my mom kept saying, it's your first audition. You're not going to get the first one, but the experience is great. I get a call back.
You did.
So I go back across the street and I go for the callback and they give us this new scene. And in one of the scenes, we have to run around in a circle. So I run around in a circle and fall completely flat on my face. Wow. And I'm like, okay, I just made an idiot of myself. I'm not getting the role.
Now, how old again were you?
At this time, I think I was 9.
9, okay.
And I got the lead.
You got the lead.
So I got the lead. And I shared the lead with 2 other girls. One was actually in Les Mis on Broadway at the time, and I still keep in touch with her. And the other one introduced me to an anti-bullying organization. Wow. So she was an advocate for this organization called Free to Love. Free to Love. And what they would do is they had a bunch of child actors and performers kind of become advocates. They would take a pledge, and then they would, basically spread awareness for this, company, organization, whatever you want to call it, all over social media and with their friends, family, cast members, whatever the case may be. Wow. So I became an advocate for them. And at the time I was interested in writing music. So I ended up actually writing a song dedicated to the organization, and that was called Free to Love. Free to Love. And that was my first song that I had put out.
Now, didn't you do that?
At that point, I wasn't sure if I even really wanted to do music, but I just went for it.
Did you do the video with that, or the song with Debbie Gibson?
Well, that's the next part of the story.
That's the next part of the story.
That I wrote on my own. I wrote on my own. Literally, in my mom's bed during the intermission of the Islander game. Like, that was completely just like...
I read that you wrote it during... I just want to pause. You wrote it during the intermission of a New York Islanders hockey game.
Yes, but not at the game. Literally in my mother's, like, bed. Like, middle school me was just, like, bored and decided to write a song for an organization. Yeah, basically.
That is incredible.
It's
just
so
something that
funny.
popped in your head?
Back.
You just...
I look back and I'm just like, what was I thinking?
Yeah. Well, that's incredible. That's a great songwriter story. It is.
When I put that song out, I got hooked up with these producers and these managers, and we did music videos and press and all these things.
Yeah.
And it was very hard to juggle a music career that I wanted to really take to the next step and an acting career.
I'll bet.
So the last off-Broadway show that I ever did was written by a young boy, probably a little bit younger than I am now, and his mother was the director.
Wow.
Well, his mother was Debbie Gibson's sister.
No kidding.
And I got the lead in that too. So I became very close with the director, and she eventually ended up actually signing me to her management company. And the last, I don't actually remember if it was the last show. It was maybe the last show, or if not, it was the second to last. She said, Debbie's going to be here. I want to introduce you to her, and she would love to teach you more about writing music.
Wow.
So I met Debbie and started to talk to her on the phone, FaceTime, and she basically just taught me how to write songs.
That's cool.
And she, sent me with her producers, and we wrote a song together, which ended up being the second one that I put out.
Wow.
So I put that out when I was about 12.
Now, I searched, I could not find that any. Is it out? Can people still find that in places?
Those are up on YouTube, I think.
YouTube?
I still believe, but I kind of wiped out a lot of the younger stuff from my Spotify.
Yeah, because you grow as an artist. I can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm so grateful because their entire family are some of the nicest, kindest people I ever met. Like, Debbie took me on stage at her concert. Like, she's such a nice person, and it was so cool seeing my parents meet her because they were mega fans of her as teenagers.
Uh-huh.
So the fangirling was quite fun to watch. Because here I was, I didn't know who she was because I was 12.
You were 12.
And here she is, 80s pop star.
Yeah.
And my parents were like holding a Sharpie and like a pen, like waiting for her to sign it. And it was so funny to watch.
A little starstruck, huh? That's great.
Oh, for sure.
Listen, I want to play another song. You've got a new single out called Worse Than Down. Do you want to say anything about that before we play? Because I want to give it a spin here. Is that okay?
I am so surprised that this song is even out because when I wrote it, I loved it so much, but I thought it was going to be too out of the box to really land with my audience.
Meaning what? Meaning a little, what? When you say out of the box?
It was just a little bit more internal and like personal, I think, and a lot darker, but not in the see you in hell way and the like,
right.
This is how I'm really feeling inside way.
I get it.
And it was a part of myself that I always wanted to put out there on social media, but was scared to because I didn't want anyone to be disappointed in me or even worried about me, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But once I did it in the studio, I was listening to it the whole car ride home, and I was like, this is good. So I came home
and
I just sat at my desk and filmed a TikTok playing it, and people were like, Alexa, release this. So I put it out there, and I'm just so happy that I did, and I'm so happy to see the numbers that, it's done so far, and it's been great.
A lot of songwriters will think, is this just too personal? I don't know, So there's always that internal struggle as a songwriter, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, let's play this. This is called Worse Than Down, and let's give it a run here. We'll talk about it at the other side, okay?
Perfect.
Hate every world I'm in until I leave and then I miss it. I wish I could appreciate the things that I was given, but it's been years since I was happy. Why does no one listen? Wish I could disappear, but then nobody would remember. The thought of leaving things behind, it really makes my head hurt. Never really understood the meaning of forever. Wish I knew then what I know now. Being up is worse than down, 'cause you never know what's coming next. I wish that I could take me back. heard the noise, I never really liked the quiet. Didn't think chasing my dreams would lead to just surviving. I really hate the sky the minute that the sun starts falling, 'cause in the dark being alone turns into feeling lonely. See, I need space, but I get anxious when my friends stop calling. Wish I knew then what I know now. Being up is worse than down, 'cause you never know what's coming next. I wish that I could take me back to the good old days I never had. The past is all that I've got left. Wish I'd been what I know now. Being up is worse than I'm pointing fingers at the pandemic. Easy to blame it for all the damage, but trying to break all of my bad habits is even harder for me to manage. I'm pointing fingers at the pandemic. Easy to blame it for all the damage, but trying to break all of my bad habits is even harder for me to manage. I'm pointing fingers at the pandemic. Easy to blame it for all the damage, but trying to break all of my bad habits is even harder for me to manage. I'm pointing fingers at the pandemic. Easy to blame it for all the damage, but trying to break all of my bad habits is even harder for me to manage.
Alexa Valentino on the Songwriter Connection podcast. Going to take a quick break, Alexa. We'll be back with you. Want to talk more about that song, okay?
Perfect.
You're listening to the Songwriter Connection, connecting with music makers and hearing their songs and stories. Now back to the show with your host, Dave Linehan.
Alexa Valentino is our guest on the phone from Long Island, New York. Again, it's good to have you, Alexa. That song, Worse Than Down. Now, let me ask you this. Do you have, I'd love to see the lyrics to that. Do you ever put out like lyric videos? Is there a lyric video to that?
I don't put lyric videos out, but usually the lyrics will come up on, Spotify, Apple Music. Sometimes it's just like a really annoying delay on them.
Yeah, sometimes.
But they usually come up fairly quickly, and that's usually where they are accessible.
Okay. All right, very good. So writing that song, and Mesh, and I don't like to compare artists to other artists, but it had to me when I first heard it, the way it starts has that kind of that Billie Eilish feel. Was that what you were after, or no?
No, I never try to intentionally channel a specific artist because I'll find then I'm going to sound too similar. But looking at it from after the fact of writing it, I can totally see where that comes from. And Billie's a huge inspiration of mine.
Is she?
In general?
Yeah. And let me ask, where was that produced?
That was produced here in New York with my producer, Donnie.
Wow, he did a wonderful job.
Yeah. Who I've been with for years, since right around 2 days. So, he's the best, for sure.
And did it come from a very dark place? I always like to have the story behind the songs. So
I think it's just kind of what it feels like sometimes to be a teenager, especially on social media. Yeah. And how COVID really changed a lot of us.
Yeah.
And how a lot of us look back at before the pandemic and don't necessarily feel like the same person, whether it's because we've had, a loss or a specific traumatic event or anything big that's happened, or just over time, with isolation and with change, we just have really changed. And I think that's kind of where a lot of the inspiration lyrically for this one came from.
I cannot imagine what it was like to be in high school during the pandemic. That just had to be so weird. I mean, were you studying from home, doing the Zoom thing?
Oh yeah, for a while.
That's got to be so hard. So far away from your friends and everything. It's tough.
It is rough. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is rough.
Let me ask this: college in your future? Are you continuing your studies or no?
So I was in school for like the first few weeks of the semester, and then I was just so overwhelmed with stuff that was going on in my personal life that I didn't feel like I could fully commit to it. Yeah. But I am returning next semester, and things have calmed down, so I'm definitely going to be in a better headspace, and I'm actually excited to go back. I'm ready for it. And
where will you study?
Music business. Music
business? Where at?
Five Towns College.
Okay, cool. I thought maybe Belmont here in Nashville. Just saying.
Oh, I thought about Belmont so much. I could have given you a tour of Belmont when I was a freshman in high school. I know so many people there, and there was so many. I really was close. Belmont was like my second or third choice.
I see.
But there were certain things that kept me at home. No, I love everyone at Belmont.
Well,
love.
I think pursuing acting as well as music, New York's probably a good place for you to be, with Broadway not too far and all the things that happen there. So,
right,
it's probably a good choice. I am really curious as to your mom and dad. Were they in the in show business too? Are they talented folks, or they have to be?
Not at all.
No,
no, no, not at all. Really, my family is not very musical, and one of my uncles is in a band. But I mean, I feel like everyone has an uncle in a band. I mean, not really. My mom was a sports kid, and my dad's like works for an electric company. Like, my parents are not, musical or theatrical. They just kind of put me in a bit of everything. And when soccer didn't work out, and horseback riding wasn't my thing, and acting was, they were like, all right, so.
They helped you explore your passions, and they encouraged you in a lot of different areas.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Basically.
Sound like very cool parents. That's very nice. I was also, you said to me how Debbie Gibson helped you to teach you how to write songs. And I just think that's so incredible. Big 80s pop song singer like she is. What was like the most important thing you felt that you got from that experience?
I think that it was just really the kind of person that she is, even if she's not, in what you would consider her prime anymore, she's still so incredibly busy, and she still has so much going on that she is a part of. And the fact that she thought that I was essentially good enough to spend time on really gave me the confidence that I needed at that point in my life. And I think that honestly, even more than any of the actual information that she gave me, that was the biggest takeaway. Was like, okay, I'm worth a pop star's time.
Yeah.
That feels good. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that is major validation right there. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So,
for sure.
Did you write songs together?
Yeah, we wrote songs together, and that one I put out was written with her as well. Yeah.
Okay, good. And how do you spend a good part of your week, your weekly activities writing songs, or are you the kind that waits for inspiration, or do you set appointments? How do you approach it?
I usually schedule like 2 or 3 sessions a week, but sometimes I can be anywhere. And my mom's like, why are you walking over away from everybody with your phone, like in your sweatshirt? I'm like, I'm recording a voice memo. I got a melody idea.
Got a melody in your head. You got to get it out.
I'll be driving with my mom or someone in the passenger seat. And I'm like, open up my phone and write this word in my notes app. And they're like, why? I'm like, title.
Wow.
And they're like, we're on the highway. I'm like, I know, but it just came to me. And they're like, from what? Exit 48? I'm like, no, it just popped in my head.
Or at intermission of a New York Islanders hockey game. You just never know.
Or that. That's always, yeah. There's that too.
That's incredible. That's very cool. You have a webpage, and I want to direct folks to it. How do they find you out there?
You can find me at alexavalentino.com.
Great. That's easy to find, Alexa.
It is.
Do you ever go, Alexa, play Alexa Valentino?
Oh, God.
I'm sorry.
Don't even get me started.
That's got to be pretty cool. Absolutely. Well, let's
cool cool until like everyone thinks they've made the most original joke in the world.
Yeah, like
and
me.
It's like, I've been hearing that for years.
I'm sure you have.
They're like, Alexa, turn on the lights. Ha ha ha. And I'm like, you are the 500th person to say that to me.
Well,
congratulations.
Well, then I beg your forgiveness. I'm a special kind of idiot, as you know. Hey, so let's play some more of your music. I've got a few others here that I'm looking at on Spotify. Your choice, I got Angel, Bleed, Kissing Other Girls, which was cool. The publishers always tell me, have a title that would make me want to really listen to that and find out what that's all about. So when I saw that one, I go, oh yeah, I got to hear that. So let's talk about Kissing Other Girls.
Sure.
Tell me about that.
This song was the first single that I put out post TikTok.
Oh, okay.
And I was super nervous to put it out there because before then I did have a very, very small audience.
Okay.
And it was the first single that set up my project. So I don't want to tell you what it's about, though. I want you to, going off what you just said, I want you to get that experience from the song. So we'll talk about that after.
Well, let's play it. Let's listen to it, and then we'll talk about it after. Yeah, sounds good. Alexa Valentino on the Songwriter Connection podcast.
Every day, every night, I get lost in paranoia, thinking can destroy you, wondering if I'm on your mind. Remember when we were together, there was no feeling better. I know that you're with her, and it's a reminder you're no longer my secret. I failed to keep it. I'm not good at sharing, cause then I start comparing myself. Why I have to be with somebody else? Yeah, I bet you're doing just fine, alright. I'm not, cause I'm thinking about where you have been, and baby I can't stand the sight of you kissing other girls. Yeah, you're okay. Mostly nights you don't have to think about the fact that I moved on. Oh, you're replaced. Yeah, you're kissing other girls. Wasted tears, wasted years. I only can imagine what you do without me. I try to go to sleep, but in my dreams I see you with girls that aren't me. I'm not good at sharing, cause then I start comparing myself. Why I have to be with somebody else? Yeah, I bet you're doing just fine, alright. I'm not, cause I'm thinking about where you have been, and baby I can't stand the sight of you kissing other girls. Yeah, you're okay. Mostly nights you don't have to think about the fact that I moved on. Oh, you're replaced. Yeah, you're kissing other girls. Yeah, you're kissing other girls. Why are we kissing other girls? These other boys, they don't make me feel like they should. They can love me like you could. Oh, I wish you would just stop kissing other girls, wasting my time. I feel bad, so I give them attention, but I feel nothing. Yeah, I'm faking nice. Why are we kissing other girls?
There you have it, Alexa Valentino on the Songwriter Connection podcast. She's with us now on the phone from Long Island, New York. And I get it now, Alexa, you're calling him out, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And listen, boy, this ain't going to fly with me. Right?
Oh, no, yeah, no. This was, I was in an interesting mood
Yeah.
when I wrote that one. I actually wrote that, like, peak COVID, like 2020. So it's crazy that it's
Oh, as I
still,
like to call
I'm
BC.
listening to it.
Back in
being put out
BC
now.
before COVID. That's what I like to call it. Yeah. So
Oh
you
my
did.
God, I've never
Yes.
heard that before, but that is, I'm going to start using that.
Now, when did you release that?
That was summer. I think that was July of 2021.
2021. So you were probably, 16 at the time?
Yeah.
Wow. Incredible. I love your melodies and your melodic phrasing that you use. They're so catchy. And I don't think that's something that's learned. I think that's part of the talent of songwriting that you're given. Do you agree?
I guess so. I mean, I think that part of it is skill. I think that part of it could be just, natural. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I want to talk a little bit about your acting career. I know you started at a very young age, but you've progressed on to movies and things. I've seen some clips of some of the movies you've been in. Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
Where can we see you on film?
I've done different films. I think the biggest thing that I did was I was on an NBC show.
You were? Which one?
Called Ministry of Evil.
Ooh.
And it was really, really interesting. It was crazy because the way that they had it set up was there was a few different girls that were it's about a cult leader. His name is Tony Alamo. And the actor that they used to play him was so incredible. I mean, really and he looked so much like the actual guy. So, wow. I mean, really, if someone told you that was him, you believe them. Wow. And it was one of those casting, crazy, jobs. And when we got there, the other girls and myself, they just told us to go into this basement. And what they had, what we were filming in was this big house that I don't know the proper name for them. I've called them TV houses. I've called them film houses. But basically what they are, they're houses that you would expect any regular suburban, middle class family to live in. But every single room in the house, it's kind of a different vibe and a bit of a different aesthetic where it's this doesn't all go together so that they can film what would be multiple locations in one location.
I got you.
So they could probably, make it seem like it's 3 different houses, but they're all in the same spot because that's a lot of equipment, people to move all around the place. So
television and movie magic, it is.
Yeah.
I had a chance, just aside, to say what you said. I went to where they filmed Shawshank Redemption, which is in Mansfield, Ohio. There's a reformatory there. And what I didn't realize, a lot of the scenes, even outside, happened right there. If you've ever seen that movie, Brooks, who ends up, he can't make it in the world, he hangs himself. That was actually in a room inside of the reformatory. So a lot of the different scenes took place in the same place. So I imagine it's kind of the same there, what you're talking about there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, sets were crazily like that.
Yeah.
So I got there and I'm looking around at everything and they're telling me to go into the basement. So I'm okay. So I go down into the basement and there's this couch in front of this big projector.
Yeah.
And on the projector, they're projecting this looped clip of these burning buildings and people running around and I didn't know what it was. This was the kind of role where I wasn't really I didn't have a script that I was given ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
I had a persona and I was one of these few girls that were, kept captive. And I just was told to show up. And I think the main reason why they didn't really tell us what to prepare for was so we would really just have that natural fear.
Yeah.
So I was told to go into this basement and I sat on this couch with these other girls and, it's very dark.
Yeah.
I could see, cameras and there's insane smoke machines. So I was hard to breathe. And I'm okay, where am I?
Oh,
it was genuinely enough to scare me. And they bring the guy out who's, playing this lead. And he goes on this 10-minute rant about spewing all this crazy stuff that any cult leader would do. And he's saying it to us and he's interacting with the projector. And I mean, it's just we had no idea what was going on. And he would, jump and there would be jump scares where he would, get in our faces and we would have that genuine shock because we didn't see it coming. And this was one take. It was one take because after that, it wouldn't be raw reaction anymore.
Right.
And it was so creepy.
Now,
and eventually then after that, we had to do a lot of takes all day long because there were scenes with SWAT invasions, which have to be filmed from so many different angles and, so many different emotions. And, I had a scene where I was sitting down with a therapist and she was trying to get information out of me. And, So there were other things that were more intricate, but I will never forget the taping of that scene because I've never been on a set like that. And it was so crazy and so...
I would think, is that what they call method acting when they do that? That kind of thing.
So method acting, in a way, I honestly, method acting, I think is like so complex. And I've seen a lot of method acting be used for more roles where people are kind of like what that guy who was playing the lead would be doing, kind of like really studying and living as a character in order to portray them.
Did you take acting lessons at all? Did you study acting? Or?
In my childhood, yeah. I mean, as I would be doing a show, I would, have rehearsals, but I would also be in voice lessons. I'd be in acting lessons, dance lessons, all those things.
Amazing. All the things you do. It's just fantastic. So what's in the future for you, Alexa? What do you see yourself doing in the next few years?
I would love to keep putting out music and growing my platform on social media and just, continue being myself because it's gotten me to a point that I didn't really think I would get to so quickly. So I'm super happy with where I am, and just to see that continue would be amazing.
So it's more like you're going to concentrate more on the music these days, you think, in the next few years? Or
I think so, but I think that eventually I would love to go back to acting.
If the right roles come along, right? Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, I wish you all the best. I can't tell you how great it was to get to know you a little bit more and to chat with you.
Too.
Thank you so much for your time. And I wish you the best of everything. I really do. And I hope you'll stay in touch with me. And let me know when you're coming to Nashville.
I will. And I'll let you know when I'm in Nashville, for sure.
Awesome. I would love to meet you. Thanks again, Alexa Valentino. You can find her on all of the social medias, and you can also find her music out there wherever you find music. She is fantastic, and I really believe what you're doing. Talented young lady, and all the best to you, my friend. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriter Connection podcast. Find us on social media at Songwriter Connection. Also, listen to Dave Lanahan's Nashville Connections radio show. It streams live every Friday morning on WOBL and WNOI. Look for us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time on Songwriter Connection.